Can it be too much of a good thing? I think yes, because the amount of amazing scripts for PixInsight that we have seen pop up here in the last weeks alone is just overwhelming. And so you really don't know what you should look at, what you do not have to look at, and so on. So I decided to do a video about all these scripts that were popping up, or at least the top 6. And I would like to mention it now, but I'm also a little bit confused. So what do I remember? I think the coffee dispenser script, the PixInsight astrology script, which reads your fortune right out of the photo that you shot, the Orton Glow script, which you best use for the elephant trunk nebula, and last but not least, the X-ray script, which finally let you see through clouds. And there might be some other minor ones which we might look at, so all of that and right on my computer right after the trailer. Hey, this is View into Space and I'm Sascha from Switzerland. So grüezi miteinander and thanks for watching my channel. As you can see, we do not waste a second and immediately start here in PixInsight because there's so much we have to go through. So this is M2, a globular cluster. I did this shot 2 days ago with my 103 APO. So I really like it, but there's one problem with it, and these are halos. Now again, why my scope, filter, camera combination produces halos, we can discuss. We probably will not figure it out, but I think we all agree they're ugly. One possibility until now was with blur exterminator to eliminate them to a certain degree, but that's only possible to a certain degree. And so what Astro now has actually created is, and that's our first script, the Halo Be Gone script. So actually 5 of the 6 scripts I will present you today are from Frank from Astro. It really looks like he cracked the code on how to create successful PixInsight scripts. It's a very straightforward script. Here you can select the picture. We only have one at the moment, so this is by default. You could do it with linear data, then you have to select here, but it works perfectly well with non-linear data. And I think that's the cool part because in principle, this picture is already final and I can still do that. Now with most pictures, you would actually first use star exterminator and then only run it on the stars and not on a nebula, not on a galaxy. Now with this picture here, I was trying both and I kind of realized that even here in the cluster, it actually kind of makes it better this way if I just leave it. So you have 3 degrees here, low, medium, high. My experience is that low is, in most cases, I would say, good enough. Perhaps even to my taste, I would wonder if a low, an extreme low setting would not be also appropriate, because sometimes I feel the low is already a little bit on the strong side. But anyway, so let's press execute and Halo Be Gone. And I mean, look at that. These halos are, to a large extent, fully gone. Here is a little tiny bit left, but that really doesn't matter. It actually even gives the color to the star if you now look at it. And even the cluster. Look at it, how nicely now the stars appear. It might rip a little bit away from the inner glow. Now this is a question of taste, but I compare both pictures and I really feel that even the cluster is much, much nicer now than it was before. So absolutely recommend this script. It will be a default because I'm a little bit plagued with these halos. It will be a default script for my workflow from now on. Absolutely. Getting rid of these horrible, horrible things. And with that, we get already to script number 2. Now for the script number 2, I have actually taken here the Trifid Nebula. I used Star Exterminator, and unfortunately we have here some residuals of the stars, and we should get rid of that. And until now, what we had to use for that is the clone stamp, which is probably one of the most horrific processes that PixInsight has created. Given that this is actually quite a default tool now in any picture processing software, none has done it in a more unuser-friendly way than PixInsight. Now they needed Frank, who finally created something decent to get rid of stuff like that. And so thank you, Frank, for doing that. We go again in SETI Astro and take the blemish blaster. We have to work here in this preview. So with the mouse wheel, we can make it bigger or smaller. And so here we have our stuff that we want to get rid of. We ensure that the right picture is selected. The feather here is in principle how hard or soft the borders of the circle are. Opacity, if you go down with the opacity, obviously, then it lets through something of the picture. You could even say that you perform the blemish blaster only on one of the channels, and you even have an option to get rid of satellite trails. It's really, really amazing what Frank has done here. Also, you can see here that we can actually use a circle. That's the standard, like a little bit in the clone stamp, just about 1,000,000 times better. Then we would have freehand to draw a shape and correct stars. So let's just keep it on circle. We go on things we want to correct. We press Shift. We make it as big as we want and we let go. We can do that with a few things at the same time. And we might even do it here for larger areas. Then we say execute, and look at that. It's all gone. There are no traces, and it was so convenient. Now we have to press apply to main image, and only now actually it does it on the main image. And again, I don't have to show more. It's quite easy to use, very convenient, and just perfect. Again, there is no reason anymore to use clone stamp. It really belongs, exiled from the software, and this is the new default. Really amazing. A huge thanks to Frank for that. Okay, for our next script we will use Andromeda. But before we do that, I would like to mention that if you like to be always up to date with the newest script, newest equipment and so on, it would actually help to subscribe, and you will always be the first to hear when a new video is released. And if you really want to hear each individual news right when I hear it, then please consider to subscribe to my Patreon account. Link is in the description below. But with that, let's continue with Andromeda and with a mind-blowing script again of Frank, which is called What's in My Image? Now, of all the scripts that Frank has done, this is by far the most complex. It just blows my mind what he has done here. So look at that. Here we have the whole Andromeda pic. Here we have the selection in this little green box, which I can move around. So if I only want to know what objects are in this green box, I can do that, or I can search for the whole picture. But what will I search for? I go here in advanced search, and here I have all the different objects. For example, white dwarfs. Doesn't that sound interesting? So I select it, I click confirm selections, and now I just say query SIMPAD entire image. And we actually have 2 white dwarfs here. If I move closer, here it is, our white dwarf. If I'm interested in, I click on it and I see it here. And if I want to know more, I double click it and it opens a browser and I get right the information out of SIMPAD. And you can do that here with as many of these topics, supernova, remnant, and so on. This is really cool. So you can not only say, well, this is Andromeda, which I shot, but you can actually point other stuff out. But how will you remember that this little star here is actually a white dwarf? Also for that, Frank has a solution. These are the annotation tools. You want to draw a rectangle, just click here. And with Alt, mouse click, I can put a rectangle around it. That's done. And it's annotated. You want to put a text on it, just click Add Text, White Dwarf, again Alt, and here it is, White Dwarf. And you can change the colors. You have so many possibilities here to annotate your picture as you want. If you want to save it, you click Save Annotated Pictures, and it will save it to you as a JPEG. If you're interested, I would really recommend you here that you watch the full video of Frank about that. I will put it in the description below because there's so much more stuff. And I really want to keep it here short and tight and simply want to show you what's possible with all the new scripts. If you want to go in depth, please go back to the individual videos of Frank. But I want to show you here the most coolest feature. And let's take for that something that's a little bit more common than just white dwarfs. For example, let's look here at all the galaxies. So again, confirm selection. We say query Simbad and look at all the galaxies. And so you might want to look at them individually and have it in a collage. And look at that, save collage of objects. We say save annotated image. And now we save it as JPEG. We can also save the annotated picture. We do not want this at the moment. So now let's see what it has done. We have to close for that the script. And look at that here. It has actually created the collage of all these individual objects. And now we can have a look at them individually. Okay, and with that we come to the next script. Still from SETI Astro. And I still have here my Andromeda picture. But you know what? This is such a cool picture. So I definitely have to protect it with my new SICK signature. I don't know actually that you realize that I rebranded my whole channel. So that's the new logo and I absolutely want to have it on my Andromeda picture. Now, until right this moment, the only way that I could actually add my signature was saving this picture as a JPEG, adding it to my iPhone photo library, then going in a special app in my iPhone, and there I added my signature. Which also means that the quality was already so much decreased because it was JPEG, and probably this app also did something with it. So, for example, for Astrobin, adding it to a TIFF or something like that was absolutely impossible. But now, thanks to Frank, it's possible. We go up there to Script, SETI Astro, Astromark Signature Adder. And so what we do, select Image, we select Andromeda, select Signature, we select Signature. By the way, obviously it has to be a transparent signature. We zoom out as good as we can. Then we have to enlarge this a little bit so that the whole picture is visible. And here is our signature. And with space, mouse click, we can move it around. Obviously it's way too big now. So we decrease here the signature size. Yeah, that's good. So shift click again and move it here. I could also rotate it, but I don't want to. But actually the yellow is a little bit too bright if I make it a little bit opaque. Exactly, it's not so annoying. Great, looking good. So now all I have to do is actually click on execute and look at that. We have a signed picture. And you know, just saying, PixInsight, so you were able to do SPCC and the gradient correction, and now you're doing Mars, but you were not able to do this here. Really? And I mean, this applies for all these scripts. I sometimes really feel that people like Frank, like Bill Blanchard, like Russ, they are the ones who actually save PixInsight. If they would not be, I don't know if PixInsight today would still exist. So thanks to all of you. You're the one who really make these applications great. And with that, let's come to another script, also of City Astro, and also something which should have been for a very long time possible, and that's fame. And I like here the humor of Frank because he changed it from the game mask. So again, let's make this here bigger. Then we have to go with fit to preview. Okay, and here we have our Andromeda again. And now we can actually do here a freehand mask. Could you believe that? So everything is explained here. You have to click Shift, click, and now we can draw the mask nicely around Andromeda. We can even include the little galaxy here. And that's it. And we can actually mask this whole part. May I introduce you to Larry? Hey Larry. He just decided he wanted to sit on my mouse. Hope he's now peacefully on my lap again. Anyway, so you also can obviously have a ton of stuff here. Brushes and spray cans and ellipses and rectangles. And you can even do column masks. So again, absolutely crazy stuff. If I click now execute and now close the script, then I have here the mask and I can work with it. Look at that. So that's actually the last script of Frank that I want to show you, and I want to close this down again by a huge thank you to Frank and to City Astro for creating all these amazing scripts. So the last script we will look at is not from Frank, but from Polyman Astro. And he has developed a Orton Glow script, which should bring some nice glow into the picture. He said that some people have already done it in Photoshop, and I personally use Luminar Neo as post-processing tool, and Luminar Neo has also exquisite glow tools where you can actually increase the inner glow and the outer glow. But obviously, if something like that would be possible within PixInsight, really cool. So let's see. We go script, utilities, and we find here the Orton Glow when we have actually installed it. I will also leave the repository link in the description below. So here it opens. First thing, even if it would show here the right one, we have to select it. And then actually we can enter here the blur. So at the moment I would use everything a little bit conservatively. So we say about 10. We create a duplicate for the glow. So that's why it's blurred, that it kind of gives this glow. Then we can choose the blending mode. So this is with a screen. This is with the soft light. I think that's much better. And an overlay. It's even a little bit darker. It's always a little bit a shame with this previews that you cannot toggle it on and off, because that would actually give you the best impression on what you're doing. But that's not to blame to Polyman Astro. That's simply again a limitation of PixInsight. Opacity slider, here we can actually slide it a little bit down. It's not so extreme. Let's try it like this. I think that should look quite cool. Apply the Orton effect. It goes really fast. We can close it down. We can close this here down. And well, look. So let's compare it now to the original one. Now let's toggle. And actually, it's definitely more contrast. It looks quite bright. Also looks sharp. Actually, it looks cool. It's definitely a tool I will keep in my mind for cases where I feel it could use a little bit more pop. So also thank you to Polyman Astro for providing us with this script. So here we are, 6 scripts later, I don't know, more or less confused, but at least now you have an idea what you might try, what is of interest to you. And if it goes on like that, we will soon meet again where I will introduce the next 10 or 20 or 30 scripts to you. Until then, clear skies.